here on the screen, mapping organization internet domain to services, integrating the cloud solution authentication mechanism so that users can log in and access the solution. Next is assigning user roles for administering and accessing the system, applying security and access control, provisioning the services proper, applying any organization branding that you may need, and then configuring any mobile option. So let's take it from the first one now, mapping organization internet domain to services. I hope you can see, I hope you can all still hear me. I'm not just talking to myself. Let me hear yes. Yes, okay. All right, good. So all organizations with an online presence use DNS to allow internet users to easily find them, on the internet, right? A good example will be Google, right? And you will notice that Google now has some other additional services. So for you to even reach their additional services, you will still need to reach it from their main domain name. So DNS is something that is really very vital. Still talking about Google, if I need to consume, let's say, email services, Google's platform or Google's domain, I'm going to need to type in mail.google.com. You get the picture. So that's a very good example. So the same case also applies to us. So if you're using any cloud-based service, there is a need for you to map that cloud-based service to your domain name. So whenever people want to reach that service, they can reach it via your domain name. So you can have, it might be maybe a suffix or a prefix, from your domain name, maybe a main before your actual domain name, or after your domain name, then you are putting some additional links on how users can consume those services. So another one is authentication. Authentication is how users identify themselves to SaaS solution, that they are trying to gain access to. And this is typically done by, providing your user ID and password at login. So that's a no-brainer. So it's something that, we all know, that we're all used to. And next is assigning user roles for administering and accessing the system. Corporate SaaS, software as a service deployments require different level of access. We know that, right? So organization will need different users with different roles, right? So at the very minimum, they will need administrator with account that can have access to control the entire application, that entire software as a service application. And they might also, definitely, they will need some basic users now who will have limited access, to data and then to function of the application that they need to carry out their job function. So that's another one. Another one is permission, right? That's applying security and access control so that access to data is protected. Now, what you find here is that there is a thin line, between roles and permission. But when we talk about permission is what deals with what level of access users have on your data. Are they supposed to be able to read? Can they write? Can they edit data that you have running or that you have stored on that SaaS application, that software as a service application? So that's what that defines. Next is provisioning the service so that they are ready for use. So provisioning is the process in which you configure your system and policy to provide users with the access to data and resources that they need. We're going to be looking at provisioning Office 365 later. So what you find out with O365 is once you set up an O365 account, then those additional services that you've paid for, need to be provisioned for you to start consuming them. So provisioning will take some time. So even though provisioning of cloud-based services is a lot faster when you compare it to, provisioning services that you have running on-prem. So that's what provisioning talks about. So it talks about setting up those actual services that you have come with that software as a service application. And next we have applying any organization branding to the service. When you have a SaaS service that you are consuming, you're a tenant of a cloud software as a service application, there might be a need for you to customize the look and feel of that your software, of that your particular application. You don't want it to have the regular interface that everybody is used to. You really want to own the environment. You want to customize, have a look and feel that is that has a lot to tell about your organization. So that's what branding is about. So organizations use branding to identify their brands online, in promotional materials and also in marketing. So branding now may consist of things such as putting your own unique logo. By default is going to come with the vendor's logo. So you want to remove the vendor's logo and replace it with your own logo. The design, you might not like the design that it comes with, so you want to customize the design. You want to replace the provider's color with your own corporate color, and then other elements. So you're simply branding it with your own organization look and feel. And finally, we have configuring any mobile options. So that's mobile and client sync. Now, because user data now is stored on the cloud, with a software as a service application, users are now able to move freely. They're able to move seamlessly between working with the application on their computer or on mobile devices, right? So this is what we need to ensure. So organization administrator, you as an administrator, as a cloud technologist now, should have a plan for how to install this application on users mobile devices. How do you intend to go about installing it on mobile devices? Is this something you want to take charge of? Anytime a user wants to have an application installed on their mobile devices, are you going to be responsible for doing it? Or would you prefer to hold training session for those users so that they can install those applications themselves on their mobile devices? So if it is not a device that the organization is monitoring or is managing, so to speak, they want to also be able to use, let's call it Office 365, their mobile gadgets. Should they do it themselves, or is it the responsibility of IT to do? So you will need to come up with that decision as a cloud technologist, right? So all that is clear. Hope it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. So here are some guidelines for identifying corporate SaaS requirements. So we've talked about some of this. I think we can move ahead to talk about SaaS implementation planning. So you see, once an organization, once the requirement for a SaaS solution has been identified or been defined by an organization, you as the technologist will then need to help your organization to plan how that solution is going to be deployed, right? So you need to have proper planning in place, for it to succeed. So even though deploying a SaaS solution is a lot easier, we know it to be a lot easier when you compare it to deploying an on-prem solution. But still, you need to have good planning, in place to ensure success, right? Now, to ensure the successful outcome of a SaaS implementation, these are some of the plannings that you will need to do. Gathering requirements, so we've talked about this one earlier. Next, you have identifying your stakeholders. In the case of stakeholders, for any project, getting the right people involved on that project is really, really very essential, for the project to be successful. So that the same thing now holds, the same concept holds true for SaaS implementation. You need to get, for instance, the executive, on board. because you even need approval from the executives, if that cloud solution that you feel will help your users do their job better is to fly, then you need to get buy-in from the executives, right? And you also need power users, so that those power users can help in the area of testing the application, helping other users, during the rollout phase of the application. So it's required, very, very essential, that we identify our key stakeholders, that will ensure that the software as a service rollout, becomes a success. Next, we have usage scenario, defined usage scenario for the SaaS application. Is very, very important, for us to identify the need that software as a service that we want to get is going to solve. So every SaaS solution needs to solve a problem or meet a business objective. So how do you define what these objectives are? So it's very, very important. How do you identify those problems? So by defining your usage scenario, for the SaaS solution, it's going to help you come up with the SaaS solution now that will better fit your need. So it's something that we need to look at. Next is awareness. Talking about awareness, of course, it is essential, very, very essential, that when you are considering to invest on a particular software as a service, once you've gathered the key stakeholder and you've been able to get approval for it, you don't want to leave your users hanging in the wind, right? So you want to bring them on board, right? So you want to create some kind of, there's usually a learning curve associated with using new products. So you need to make sure that your users are carried along, and then you make you just create an environment to make sure that they buy into that particular solution. Because if you don't get in buy-ins from your users are the one that is going to that will end up consuming this application in the end. So if you don't get buy-in from them, then they might frustrate your efforts, right? So you need to make sure that there is proper awareness about that solution in place. So also listen to questions coming from your users, and then offer them plans on how you can train them, how you're going to train them, how this particular new solution is going to make their job easier, right? Because on the average, no user likes change. That's the fact. They don't like change. Even if the solution you're introducing is going to make their job better, is going to make their life easier, they will still be reluctant. So before rolling it out, make sure that you create that enabling environment. Let them have the feeling that this solution is going to help them make their job easier, right? So next is define role for the implementation process. So it's very important. So during the implementation phase of the software as a service, different users will have different roles that they are going to play. So you should identify the roles needed to successfully complete that implementation. So you also need to identify which people will be holding on to which role, who is going to be responsible for what. A good example will be defining who are going to be the back-end admins, right? So who are going to manage the back-end of this particular implementation, who are going to be considered as the testers. Maybe if it's a software, the software testers. So they will help you test it, identify some of the flaws that it has, or how those shortcomings, they will report it to you as a cloud technologist, and then see what solutions you can come up with, right? So you need to also define your users. You also need to define who are going to be the trainers, who are going to be responsible for training the users. So is it going to be a situation where you are going to be doing train the trainer, right? So maybe you get someone with, you're getting external help for those external people now to train the administrators, and then the administrator in turn will train the users. or do you want to organize a training for all of the users, with the help of a third-party company, with the help of a support company, so on and so forth. You also need to identify your support staffs. So who are going to be responsible for supporting this SaaS solution that you're just deploying. So the SaaS solution, is it going to be supported in-house? Is it going to be supported by the provider of that software? Or do you have a level of support that you can give, and then maybe at some later point here, at some later time, you might need to escalate it to involve the SaaS provider. So next is defining the implementation phase. So it's very, very important that we define the implementation phase. I mentioned it very briefly. At the minimum, the following phases are required. Let me try to note it in the slide here. We have software testing. There's software. Not to worry, later I'm going to share this slide with you. I promised to share it this week, but I still haven't made the necessary changes to the slide, so kindly be patient with me. I'll make all the necessary changes and then push it to you. Software testing, I said. So you need to identify who are going to be involved in this phase of the project. You need to also define who are going to be there's going to be pre-deployment phase. So pre-deployment phase of pre-deployment monitoring. So here you will monitor the key metrics, right? And then perform regular reviews to make sure that everything is performing as expected. Next, you have general deployment. So now you are ready to roll out this particular software, right? So that's for general deployment. Next, you have the post-deployment monitoring. Post-deployment. Okay, and support. So after the solution is deployed, so here you will need to continue monitoring the solution, as well as things such as utilization, how are your users utilizing this solution, ways to optimize the solution, and then continue to provide support for your users. So this is what post-deployment and support entails. And finally, we have training. So training, one way or the other, we've also mentioned training. So one very critical factor in determining the success of a SaaS implementation is training. So training will give your users the skills that they need to use that particular software, right? So it's going to give those users all the necessary skills that they need to be able to use the software to do their job, to be able to effectively use the software. And training will also reduce the time it takes to become effective at using the new software, as opposed to leaving them to figure it out by themselves. If you put them through training, then it's going to be a lot easier for them to quickly understand how to use that software. So your job as a cloud technologist is also to identify what type of training will be provided to your users. What type of training is best for your users? Is it a step-by-step how-to guide, or do you want to have some kind of screen capture videos of how to do it? Or do you want to create a training portal on your intranet site? So that's also a possibility. Alright, so do we understand this? Hope we're following on well. Or do you have any questions so far? Any questions from any of you? Okay, so I can push ahead then. Alright, so no questions so far. Alright, so implementation phase, right? Implementation phase. So when it comes to implementing a SaaS solution, a software as a service solution, once the requirement is being understood, you need to plan on how to deploy the solution, right? So part of the phases that you are going to, you skipped a page. Okay, all right. So somebody said I skipped a page. So I've explained, this particular page. That's why I skipped it, sir. So talking about the scenarios, people will have different scenarios, right? And maybe your need for a software, will differ, right? A good example will be people might want to roll out, they want to have an email solution, that they are going to use in their organization. So what is the email going to do for them? So people's requirement, for some people, their requirement, their objective might be, we want to have an email that we can use to send internal emails and then external emails. For some other people, they want to maintain a free SaaS solution and then use that to do the sending of their external emails, but they want to use, they want a solution that can just do external emails or just internal emails for them, right? For some people, they might want an email solution that can as well, that can make it possible for the email to be configured on users' mobile devices. So that's another requirement. So people will have different business goals. So we've talked about this. Identify the goals. What is the objective? Users' impact, and then task. What does your users? What do they need it for? All right. So implementation phase. So we said we're going to need to test the software, right? So during the implementation phase, different users will have different roles, like we've mentioned in the past. So there's going to be software testing, there's going to be deployment monitoring, there's going to be general deployment, and then post-deployment monitoring and support, right? Alright, so before we delve into O365 now, there's also something I need to mention, which is key preparation task, right? So before any migration, we're talking about, we've assumed now that the solution is being rolled out, but after rolling out the solution, that is not where the bus stops, right? So you need to consider migrating your data, the data that you already have on-prem into the cloud. So how do you go about doing that? The first thing you need to do before your migration happens, before migration takes place, is for you to first of all back up your data, right? Make sure that your data is being well backed up. After it is been backed up, test the backup. Make sure that the backup is verified by your backup administrators. So in case any disaster strikes, any disaster happen, at least you can always roll them back from your backup. Then you must then decide on how best to transfer your data now from your local storage. If we're looking at email, for example, how do we now move the email that you already have sitting on your on-prem Exchange server into Office 365 or into Google Mail? So you need to define how to move your mails. So your service provider may have tools, specific tools and method of doing this, right? So it is always good, it will be a nice one for you to work with your service provider on how you can do this migration. Another good example is SharePoint. So if what we have is SharePoint on-prem, but you are now looking to migrate to SharePoint online, how do you migrate your data, if you are not running hybrid? How do you migrate your data on-prem into the cloud? It would be nice to get somebody's take on this. Do we have anyone who is been involved in implementation or deployment of some of those solutions, either Office 365 now, or maybe Exchange Online, SharePoint Online. Let's get your take. Share your experience with us. How did you manage to migrate? If it's Exchange, how did you manage to migrate users' mailboxes now from on-prem into the cloud? So can we have someone share their experience with us, please? Mr. Olorunda, do you want to say something? Or Mr. James, Mr. Richard, Mr. Afizu, you want to say something? Do you mind sharing your experience with us? I'm saying if you want to migrate, you need to migrate your data. We've talked about SaaS implementation. You've chosen a SaaS software to go for. So how do you then you've deployed it? So now how do you migrate your existing data? And I gave an example that if it is email, you have Exchange on-prem. Now you've successfully subscribed, or you are now a tenant of Exchange Online. How do you now migrate user mailboxes from Exchange on-prem to Exchange Online? Or if you have SharePoint and now you're going for SharePoint Online, how do you migrate your data, users' data on your SharePoint farm that is on-prem into SharePoint online in the cloud? How can you share an experience if you have, expertise or experience in that area?
Actually, we've not done that before, but actually, as I'm talking now in my office, there's a plan to do that.
Okay.
Now we are hosting our service.
Okay.
We are having with mail delivery, especially at the personal needs.
Okay.
So when we talk to our service providers,
okay. Okay.
Suggested that we was the government-wide mailbox. They have it in their office. I'm sure it's a small tool.
Okay.
A lot of other mailboxes. So actually, if we are having how to now control it, understand?
Okay.
By the time we move it now, to affect what we are having in the moment. One. Secondly, I will want to change and login. I mean, I don't have to login because it's still in the same part of it.
Okay.
Same part of it.
Okay.
Not part of it. I want to, if you want to have control of the house, you also get to it's not done with possible, but we have a plan.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Mr. James. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, house. Based on the recent experience that we've had in deploying both 365 to some of our clients,
okay.
we had to first of all go back. We have our clients that we had to go back October. That don't let me speak more of that the terminologies. But we have to first of all provision the old 365. I mean, the users in old 365 portal.
Okay.
And we move their mailboxes to old 365. That
okay.
is one of the terminologies or the method by which we can do migration. But the most efficient one that we recently had to do was because the organization wants some users to be on the on-prem.
Okay.
Why they want some users to have O365. They want to have like 12.
So yeah. Okay. So hybrid.
Yes.
So you ended up with an hybrid solution for them.
We ended up with an hybrid solution for them because they have some users that they can purchase a lower platform, and they have some users that they say, okay, fine, we don't want these users because they are contract staff and we cannot be spending much on them to say that we want to provision their mailboxes and notaries. So let us have them on the on-prem Exchange server. So we had to first of all ensure that the Exchange server meets up with the requirements. That's in terms of the hardware requirements, in terms of the roll up, which is more or less like a cumulative update.
Okay.
So we now set up we lay the connections between Exchange on-prem and O365 portal, which at the end of the day makes the migration more successful. And when it now comes to the identity management, so they told us that they want their users to still be able to use the same login that they are having in their on-prem infrastructure, whatever that they're using in logging into their system. Is what they still want them to be able to use to log into O365.
So you want to now set up ADFS?
Actually, that is not. We just configured it to be able to have sync sign-on. Sync sign-on technology, not a single sign-on, because when we pushed the single sign-on to them, they told us that no, they want to have more or less cost. Not for them to incur more cost by setting up ADFX infrastructure. We had to do directory synchronization. So the directory synchronization enable them to be able to have the user's identity with their AD infrastructure synchronized to O365. These same users are the ones that will just as the way they are O365 is that they are AD infrastructure. So
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jane, for sharing with us. So those are the questions that you want to ask, yourself, if you are not, if you've never experienced this before, and then you are considering a move to the cloud, right? So you need to care for your data, right? So how do you intend to move your data, right? If you have huge amount of data sitting already on-prem, consider how long is it going to take you for you to migrate that data into the cloud. In the case of SharePoint, you have terabytes of data sitting on-prem, and those information are very important for your users to do their job. How long will it take you to migrate them into the cloud? Or your service provider, do they have technologies in place? Do they have some kind of ship and store technology in place where they will ship a device to you? You can copy those information locally to the device, and they can help you plug it into the cloud. Or are you going to have to pay for bandwidth to move terabytes of information? Remember, moving terabytes of information into the cloud might take you months, to be able to achieve. So is this something that your business can cope with? So those are some of the questions that you need to look into and then be willing to provide answers for as the cloud technologies. So you need to do all of the findings for your organization, ask the service provider, do the research on your own, see if you would need to get some external help, see if you need to get some maybe some support companies to assist you, or you have some of these support people, or the people that sells a number of these tools that can help us do our migration seamlessly into the cloud. So do all of those before your migration, before considering migrating to the cloud. So now let's talk Office 365 before our demo. Now Office 365 is a SaaS solution from Microsoft. So that's a software as a service solution from Microsoft. At the inception of this course, we've talked about what software as a service is about, what PaaS is, what IaaS is. So a good example of SaaS is Office 365, right? So Office 365 include products such as Exchange Online. It includes SharePoint Online, there's Skype for Business Online with Office 365, and there's Office Pro Plus, right? So Office Pro Plus is your regular Office 2013, Office 2016, but it is not Office Online, it is not OA, right? So it is a subscription version of Office. So meaning that for you to use Office Pro Plus, you need to continue to pay your tenant fee, and then you can install it on your system. In fact, one user license, you can install it on 5 different devices. So I can install it on my laptop, I can install it on my desktop, or my mobile phone. That's just one license, right? And then the Office, there is a service, Microsoft Office 365 that will check, at least once every 30 days to make sure that the license is still valid. If the license is valid, you can continue using it. If the license is not valid anymore, then that Office Pro Plus goes into what is called RFM mode, reduced functionality mode. And reduced functionality mode means that you can only use your Office, that's Office Pro Plus now, you can only use it to read information. You can use it as well to print, but you cannot use it to edit documents moving forward. So Office Pro Plus is another offering of Office 365. And you have at the bottom of it all, you have your Windows Azure, right? So Windows Azure simulates your on-prem Active Directory. So it looks very similar to Active Directory. So the Active Directory that you have running up in Office 365 is called Windows Azure. So now if you have a subscription for Office 365, remember I mentioned there are a number of plans. As you can see here on the screen, there's Business Essential, there's Office 365 Business, there's Business Premium, even the Enterprise plan. You have a number of Enterprise plan. Are you going with E1, E2, E3, E5 plans? So there are a number of options. So that's what Office 365 allows. It comes with these tools that we can use to do our job from anywhere, right? So it allows you to connect to SharePoint anywhere you are. It allows you to use your Office anywhere you are, your Skype for Business anywhere you are, your email anywhere you are. So it's really a very powerful tool. And we've looked at Google, that's Google Apps, in our previous class. So in this particular class now, I want us to demo something, so which is setting up an Office 365 account. So to do this, I will need you to open a web browser. So open your web browser so you can follow my lead. You don't need to memorize, what's it called now, the URL to setting up a free O365 account. You can just come to Google and then type Office 365, Office 365 E3 trial, right? So let's set up an O365 E3 plan. That's an Enterprise E3 plan. So if you've typed that in Google, the first link that is appearing right in front of you, you can click on it. Click on that link. And by the way, ensure to have your mobile device, close to you, because you are going to need your mobile phone. So to send the one-time thing. Sorry? Somebody said something. All right, good. So this is it. All right, so this is the interface now. I want to try, not to buy now, but to try it now, free trial. So let's click on it. Okay, the free trial is going to last for 30 days, so you can use it for free. Do just about anything you want to do with it for 30 days, and after 30 days you can choose to now start paying for it if you need to continue using it. So I'm going to create a new account now. Alright, and keep in mind that one of the first things you need to do before setting up this account is to have an email address, right? And the type of email address that you need to have has to be a live account, a Windows live account. So let's do that first. Let's do that real quick before we fill in this form. So we're going to open a new browser, a new tab, and then come to either hotmail.com or outlook.com, right? Outlook.com or hotmail.com, and create a new account. Create a new account. Now, if you already have an Hotmail account, I wouldn't recommend that you use your Hotmail, already existing Hotmail account, because you might want to tie it to something else in the future. So it is better you create, one now. So I'll just choose to sign up. Alright, so I'm going to put my username is going to be Kazeem01, Kazeem.ade01 at outlook.com. So make sure that you note down this information so you don't forget them, right? So let me note it down right now. Kazeem.ade01 at outlook. Alright, so I'll put in my password. Confirm your password. So you choose your country. Phone number 8099821444. Alternate email address kazman@hotmail.com, and PWGXQWVJRX. Alright, so I have my email address created. Good and good. So I can revert back now to the O365 setup. Guys, hope I'm not too fast. Hope the pace is okay. Or do I need to slow down a little bit? Oh, I'm fast. Okay. Alright. So kindly quickly create the live account. right, so I expect that by now we should have created the live account. Good. So select your country, put in your details here, and this is self-explanatory enough. So I'm going to click on next. Right. So it's asking us here for our username. So this is very important. Please take note here. This user ID is very important for you to be able to log into your Office 365 control panel, right? So make sure that you don't lose this information that you're about to create now. So you can give it a name. I'm going to give it Kazeem at your company name. So what is your company name? Remember, because this is a trial account, so it has a suffix. So the suffix is .onmicrosoft.com, right? So that ensures that you don't want to use this in production, really, right? Though you can use it to do just about anything, but for you to be able to send emails, to invite your customers to your portal with this name .onmicrosoft.com, and it doesn't speak very well of you. So at a later time, after you must have transitioned from free service to their paid service, then you can look at knocking off this name, right? So you need to make sure that you've registered your own domain name, and you knock off this name and let it just be your own name. So for now, we'll make do with our company name .onmicrosoft.com. Yes.
Please, I wish you probably go back a step to the page where we have welcome, let's get to know you.
Is it for Office 365?
Yes.
Can you read what you have on the screen? I don't want to click on back because I already clicked next, so that I don't.
Your company, where your company located?
Yes, so you just choose Nigeria,
then
so
the business email address.
Business email address, you type in the email address that you just created. That's your Outlook or Hotmail account. You type it in there. I believe you've created an Outlook account or Hotmail account, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so kindly plug in your Hotmail account inside that box.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. So the name I'm going to put Kazeem can teach. All right. So I'm going to note down the email address again so that I don't forget. Kazeem can teach .onmicrosoft.com, and then I'll type in my password. And then create account. So as you can see, you need to prove that you're not a robot, right? By typing your phone number. So first of all, choose your region, your country. 234 is Nigeria, so it should be good. And then my number 8099821444. So as you can see, you need your phone number, so it means that you need your phone right beside you. So I need you to text me, so let me click on text me. All right, so it's going to send, you should send some verification code to your phone. So kindly type in the verification code. So you just sent mine to me now. So I'm going to type it in 89 and hit next. Alright, so good and good. Now I have successfully set up my Office 365 trial account, right? And it's giving it to me that the URL that I need to log into the O365 is portal.office.com, and here is my user ID, right? So what you want to do next, let me get your feedback. I hope we have all set up our own trial account as well. Or are you still setting it up? Guys, can we continue? Okay, Mr. James has set up his. Who else? I'm sure Mr. Afizu must have set up his own. Okay, Mr. Enyolonda has set up his own too. Mr. Afizu is just up to. I believe you can't hear me. Mr. Richard, are you up?
No, I'm still setting up.
Oh, okay. Alright, so good then. So I can click here. You are ready to go. Alright, so Mr. James is suggesting maybe we wait for a little bit. Okay, so let's wait for some 3 minutes. For everybody to be on the same page. So Mr. Richard, we're waiting for you.
Okay, sorry for the moment.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not been sent to you.
No, I think it just stopped.
Okay. All right. Alright, don't let me miss out, saying this. Right now that we've created the account, you can see what is happening. It's trying to set up all the services. So this stage is something called provisioning stage. So at the moment, Microsoft Office 365 is trying to provision those Office 365 services for us. So some of them have already been provisioned: Mail, Calendar, People, Yammer, Sway, Security Compliance, Flow, Dynamics. This has already been provisioned, but you have some additional ones. Your Office Pro Plus, your SharePoint, your OneDrive for Business, those are getting provisioned still. But it's not going to take too long. So you give it a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes. So it should be up and running. Alright, Mr. Richard, are you up yet?
Yes,
Okay. Good and good. Mr. Afizu, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. Alright, so let's push forward then. So guidelines, we've created that account, and by the way, if I need to use it to send mail, it is as easy as clicking on mail to send an email, with it. You can use, because right now some of the services are still, let me refresh and then see the status. Okay, still setting them up. But at the moment, let me click on email so that you see what it looks like. That if you're already now using 0365. So I need to configure my time zone +1 West Africa, UK English. Alright, so while I try to load that page, there is also this admin page, right? So this is your administration page. So you, as the admin of your organization, you will do the management of Office 365 from here. So if you need to create account for Office 365, you do it from right here. So if I click on this link, it takes me to the admin page. So let's see, let's just look at it briefly, what we have on the admin page, the admin portal. Alright, here's what I think we should do. Maybe my connection, I'm not sure why, but I can happen to load my central admin at the moment, so we'll just come back to it later. We'll come back to it later. So let's continue on with the slide now. But at least we've set up the account, so I'm going to also leave it to you to investigate further. This is not actually an 0365 class. We're learning to become a cloud technologist, and it means that we have more work on our ends. As a cloud technologist, a cloud technologist is a DevOps, right? Is a DevOps guy. So a DevOps guy is someone who is expected to know about multiple technologies. So you're not expected to just be an Office 365 specialist. So you need to know about Office 365, you need to know about Google Apps, you need to know about offerings from other service providers, and then you should be able to make your organization make the best decision and not having to plug into Google Apps or Office 365 because a lot of people are doing Office 365. I mean, you want to be able to come up with a decision that is well informed. You know, you are coming up with a decision that is going to help your organization grow, that fits into the budget of your organization, you know, that better suits the need of your organization, and not just for the fun of it, and not just because that particular product line is popular, right? So if you have some other time, you know, sometime later, so I can walk you through it once again, but if not, I'll leave it up to you to investigate further. Right. So let me get your take. I would like to get all of your take on this now before we proceed to the last module of the day, which will be module 7. So we have these reflective questions here. For you or your organization, what reason would be compelling to choose a paid SaaS solution over a free SaaS solution? You know, last 2 weeks ago we talked about free SaaS solution. Now we're talking about paid SaaS solution. You know, so why would you choose a paid solution over a free SaaS solution? And how big do you think a firm need to be to warrant a paid SaaS model? So we can start with Mr. James. Mr. James, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yes, so we can start with you. This question. Okay, go ahead then, sir. Share your thoughts with us.
Okay. Well, when you got my name, I actually was laughing first because I was looking in the class for free SaaS solution. So, but one reason why I can talk about paid SaaS solution would be probably when it comes to the security features.
Okay.
Because every solution must always have a level of security.
Okay.
But for me, when it comes to paid SaaS solution,
Yes.
so I think it's going to be, well, I'm coming from the hand of security first, so I think it's going to be free SaaS solution. And that's the reason why I'm saying that I wasn't at the free
Okay.
SaaS solution, so I would not be able to actually
Okay.
them or to keep a compelling
Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you for your thoughts then, sir. Mr. Richard, can you share your thoughts with us, sir?
Sorry, the one why we would prefer a paid one. Right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think support would be primary key. As
Very-
an option.
Okay.
In the sense that it's really often limited for most
Okay. Okay.
Also, another thing, from experience, most free what's it called, offer limited services.
Okay.
The limit as to what you can do with certain
Okay.
for an organization where you're going to be professional handling or taking care of several users, you have to get to a priority level that you have user support, you have to support and limit the downtime in case you run into any problem.
Okay. 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 All right. Thank you very much. So You're showing that you went through some of the activities that we did the last time. Thank you, sir. Mr. Leonardo, your thoughts, sir?
I think I'll go with what Richard said. But, after the last class, so like from my new understanding of what people is
Okay.
support I want need
Yes.
to have solution. How
Okay.
quick issue to
Okay.
avoid.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, then, sir. It would have been nice if Mr. Kelvin was also with us today, but I guess he couldn't join the meeting today. Yes, some of what we mentioned the last time. So we said support is key, right? Even though you have some of this vendor, offering some of these solutions for free, we need to look at the support. So if you know support is something you can't do without, your organization can't do without, then you might need to think in the line of paid service. Another thing is branding, right? So if you need to be able to brand, you want to have the ability to brand, to customize it to suit your need, only be able to have your own logo and not the provider's logo, on that your application. Then maybe you want to think in the area of paid service, because when you're getting some of these free services, you might not have the ability to knock off those logos, the provider's logo, on the application. So you might be restricted, in that area. And we also did mention the usage too. If I feel I'm a small organization, I don't want to worry about, I just need to send an email. I need something that can help me send an email. I don't mind if I'm sending my email as gmail.com, if I'm sending my mail as outlook.com. I don't need it to carry my organization name, so to speak. Then maybe you want to stay with a SaaS solution. But if it matters to your business, if your business is an enterprise one, a medium-sized business, a big business, then you want to save yourself, from that embarrassment of not being able to register, your own domain, so on and so forth. So on that note, therefore, we can continue on with the last module. But shortly, just quickly, I think the interface is up now, so I can just give you a quick walkthrough of the interface. That's the admin center. So this is what the admin center looks like. Again, once you click on admin from your portal, that's the portal page, it brings you here. Depending on what you want to do now, if I need to create Office 365 users, my users that will be using Office 365, I can come to users, come to active users, and then add my users here. I'm not limited to just adding them on a one-by-one basis. I can decide to bulk import users, either using PowerShell, or if you have an Excel spreadsheet that you already have prepared, then you can import those users. So you can create users here, you can delete users, you can do your data migration, using this link right here. If you need to create groups, you can create your groups from here. You can view your billing information, when your account is going to expire. Are you using free trial? Are you using paid service? You need to seek for support. You click on this link. So Microsoft will ask you, what challenges are you currently facing. So you tell them about those challenges. Before your issue can be escalated, you will need to first of all do some research on your own. So Microsoft will give you links, that you can look up to see if those issues can be resolved, yourself. If not, maybe you want to get a company Microsoft partner company to support you, or if it needs to be escalated later, it should be a later time, for before you choose to escalate to Microsoft directly. Some additional settings are here if I need to do things such as set up my domain. After registering my domain, I want to knock off that on Microsoft.com and just replace it with just my own domain. So I can do that from here. Under apps, I can view the kind of apps, the different apps that I can use. If I need to do multi-factor authentication, I need to do a directory synchronization. I want to sync my Active Directory on-prem with Windows Azure. So some of the things, you can carry them out under apps. You want to view reports, right, about is it the usage or the security or compliance or availability of your O365. So it gives it to you nice looking graphics, right, of the usage of your Office 365 and how well your security and compliance. If you want to have it configured, you can configure them from here. The health of the system, Microsoft Office 365, with their Office 365 product, they are promising 3 nines, right, of high availability, 99.9 uptime. So you can owe them to it. So if you are getting anything short 99.9 uptime, then you can be reimbursed by Microsoft, right? So Microsoft can grant you, some credit that you can use when next you want to pay for your Office 365 subscription, right? Or if there is so much degradation, which is very rare. So if it does happen that it degrades, in terms of performance, in terms of availability, those services, you notice degradation less than 95%, then you might not even have to pay at all, on your next subscription. You get the picture. So these are some of the things that you can use to meter it, to measure how well those services are running, right? So I can come here, click on my service health. So it's trying to load them right now. It's not loading them because some of those services are still being provisioned. As you can see here, Exchange is up, and these other services, they are all up. There's no warning. The portal is giving me a warning, perhaps because of the provisioning going on at the moment. So when you see a warning or an error, then it's something that you need to dig up. See why you are having that error or that warning. Good. And then we have admin centers. If I click on admin centers, here it gives you the ability to now manage all the different service offerings of Office 365. So we said Office 365, part of the popular services of Office 365, you have Exchange Online. So if I need to manage my Exchange Online, if I click on this link now, it gives us an interface that looks very similar to, in fact, it's about the same interface, your EAC interface, that you have if you're doing Exchange on-prem. If I click on this Skype for Business, it allows me to manage my Skype for Business users. If I want to do SharePoint, why not? So I can click on this link and let's check it out. So it is going to bring us to the SharePoint admin page, and I'm going to see all the different site collection that was created for us by default. If those site collection has been provisioned, they should load shortly. Alright, so as you can see, all the site collection has been created for us now. Let me try to load one of the sites. Let me try to load this one. So I'll click on the link and try to bring it up here. Alright, so this is what our team site, the default team site that was created for us, this is what it looks like. And so this is the general look and feel of your SharePoint portal. Each time you set up a SharePoint portal, it comes with this interface. And we also talked about branding, right? So this might not quite cut it for your organization. I mean, what is this? You want to rebrand it to have your own logo, to have your own color, to have your own images, so on and so forth. So maybe you want to remove this, editing the page, to knock off this logo, this SharePoint logo that it comes with. You see, I've knocked that off now. If I also need to remove this logo, let me edit the page real quick. Come to page, edit page. Alright, so I'm going to quickly insert a picture. So let me put up a picture from my computer. Alright, maybe this. And let's also try to replace that logo with something else. So I'm going to save this first of all. Alright, so to replace the logo, I'll need to come to settings. This is my settings gear here. I'll come to site settings. Site settings. Under site settings, there is a place for look and feel. Okay, under look and feel there is logo, so I'll click on logo to replace the logo. So I can put up a logo from SharePoint or from my computer. Alright, let me try to put this. So as you can see, what we're trying to do now is rebranding, our portal, from the default that Microsoft gave us, to have better ownership of that portal. So this process that we're doing right now is something known as branding, right? So let me take your questions. Okay, the email is also up at the moment. So you can see if you've already been using O365, so it looks like that email that we're all used to, or if you use OWA, it gives you that same experience. There's no difference at all, So I think we can leave it here, since this is not Office 365 class, so it's just to whet your appetite about the Office 365 service offerings. So do you have any questions so far? Any questions from you? Any questions, guys? None from Mr. James.
Okay, sorry, I just want to ask you
hello, yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sorry, branding now.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Really, I guess if anything or what the job has, this is standard structure.
Yes.
Can
You,
we
you
move them around the room as well?
Of course, why not? So you can do just about anything under the sun, that you want to do to your site. You own it, right? So you have the ability to rebrand it, to customize it the way you want it to be. So this is just, this is not a SharePoint branding. There's a SharePoint branding class, there's SharePoint admin class. So maybe if we're talking about branding, then I would have shown you. But there are some tools that you can investigate now. Take a look at SharePoint Designer. Your Dreamweaver, you can use it to build very sophisticated, web pages, and then bringing those web pages into SharePoint. So you can always customize it to give you whatever is it you want. And even if you need some additional functionalities on your portal, then you can leverage on solutions that people have built on the internet, right? There's searchforge.net, where you can get free softwares, right? If you're talking Microsoft, there is codeplex.com, where you can get free solutions that people have developed. Maybe I need to integrate a Twitter feed, now to my website, and I don't know how to code it. Well, if you have developers in-house, you can get them to build it for you, build a WSP solution for you that will get the job done. But if not, you can download some of these services already on the internet, and then add them to your website or add them to your site collection in the form of web parts, right? So you can customize it to suit your taste. All right. Okay. So we can proceed on then to the next module. But before the next module, I'm thinking we should have a 5-minute break, right? Alright, so let's do 5-minute break and then be back by, okay, let's make it 7 minutes. It's 12:48 at the moment, so let's be back by 12:55. 12:55.
Muted.
Hello, Mr. Kelvin. Okay, sorry. I wanted you to join the course. We're having it this Saturday, but I thought that maybe you were busy or relaxing here. Yes, sir. But we're on a short break now, just 5-minute break, but we should be back to wrap up.